was a recoilless gun used by the Wehrmacht during World War II. The history of the jet guns began before the Second World War with the desire for a recoil-free and also for a particularly light gun for the parachute troops. The two companies that were particularly experienced in the development of guns, Krupp and Essen and Rheinmetall in Dusseldorf, were called upon by the Wehrmacht for this purpose. These weapons were then subsequently referred to as light guns. It seems that both companies initially worked more closely together than usual on this project in the initial conception and ammunition development phase. This was certainly partly due to the fact that the parachute troops had demanded that the weapon be given cartridge ammunition. So the cooperation was quite logical and sensible in view of this completely new type of gun, since much was still basic research. The development work then also showed a large number of designs and prototypes: LG240, RH, LG290, RH, LG310, RH, 7.5 cm LG1, 370, RH, 7.5 cm LG1, 300, KP. The two prototypes of the LG1 from Krupp and Rheinmetall were finally presented and evaluated. Both weapons could be made drivable with commercially available removable motorcycle wheels. It was also intended that a squad of 4 men should be able to carry the gun in uneven terrain. The Krupp prototype was rejected as too heavy and unwieldy. After hearing the objections of the test commission to its first prototypes, Rheinmetall quickly produced a new model that was already very similar to the model introduced later. Introduced in 1940 as the 7.5 cm light gun 1, the gun was first used in the German airborne landing on Crete in May 1941. Deficiencies occurred due to the now too light mount, and the disadvantages of cartridge ammunition became obvious. Further development work was necessary. The operational experience gained with the 7.5 cm LG1 led to the 7.5 cm light gun 40, in which the range of the weapon could now be influenced in a classic way with different loads. The central firing mechanism was also moved to the side of the projectiles, as the firing pin was regularly damaged by the gases flowing backwards when the LG1 was fired. Of a total of 450 light guns, only 170 were manufactured directly by Rheinmetall, the remaining 280 were built by Dürkop and Bielefeld. The production price of the gun was 6,470 Rm. The service life of a barrel that fired 5 or 5.83 kg projectiles was about 10,000 rounds. After the successful deployment of the paratroopers in the Western Campaign, the German High Command was convinced of the effectiveness of these troops. The German operations in the Balkans and Greece against the British forces and the Allied states were successful in 1941. But there were still British forces in Crete, which formed an excellent base to cut off supplies to the troops who were now fighting in North Africa. It was decided to conduct an airborne operation. In the meantime, the LG-1 had been introduced to the paratroopers, and so it was used as part of Operation Merkur, with the airborne troops by parachute drop and in gliders. A major disadvantage of the light guns was the gas jet escaping to the rear, which endangered the gunners and betrayed the enemy's position. The large cloud of dust during the launch was also a hindrance and could not be hidden, but unavoidable. The glow of the gas jet was later prevented by additives to the propellant powder. The deployment in Crete had shown that the weapon was suitable for the paratroopers and yet had some disadvantages compared to conventional artillery. However, it was found that this was acceptable for the parachute troops, which would otherwise be used without artillery equipment. The existing 7.5 cm LG-1 and 40 light guns were used by the paratroopers in the following years. No further guns in 7.5 cm caliber were introduced. The OKH had decided that the 10.5 cm light gun 40 should continue to be built in the future. The light gun 40 could also be transported in the mountains or in snow. For this purpose, this was dismantled and divided into 2 loads on so-called boat akja, which were available from 1942.